Use some of that material. Yeah, I'm going to reuse some of that material. I'm going to post some questions. Okay, I'm going to post some questions, and then what we're going to try and do is answer those questions. Yeah. Now, this is a workshop, and what that means is we all kind of work together. However, I'm going to put some context out there so you understand my way of thinking. Okay. So, exam question. Right, this is the question we're addressing. How do we build an ICT strategy? Okay, so that's one part. And how can EA tools and the mindset add value? Now, the key part there is the mindset. Okay, because if, like me, over the past 20 years, you move from company A, B, C, blah blah blah. That's how long I've been independent. You can't see different companies do different things in different ways. There is no set formula to producing an ICT strategy. No two companies do it the same. Okay? Financial models are all different, everything's different. I'm going to put something out there that helps you with mindset. Okay? So, that's the question. Right, so this is how I want to do it. I'm going to start by giving you a little primer, right, on enterprise architecture. My version of enterprise architecture, which is more enterprise systems architecture bias. Then we're going to go the strategy, the what and the how, okay? And I'm going to use the example of the strategy I produced for this particular client because there were some good artifacts I turned out. And I can reuse it because it's mine and I can't reuse other stuff, yeah? Okay? And then we've got a bit of a group exercise, right? So the takeaway from this is, and we're going to come back to this, how do we build an ICT strategy with an EA bias? Okay? Right, so, when we talk about an ICT strategy, right, there's so many different variables, right? We have to think about compliance. So if you've got to think about the external side of things. So when you're building an ICT strategy, right, you've got to think about third parties, IFSR, EU Directive, Solvency II. I'm working for a client at the moment, and this is quite interesting. And they're a massive insurance company, billions. They look at the UN sanctions list, and that's the first time I've come across that. That's the first time I've come across that. In 20 years of freelancing, 15 years of working. So that's what the compliance stuff. Then we look at the EA side of things, and we're going to cover some of these, so you don't need to go into detail. How do we actually produce the strategy? How are we going to produce it? Yeah? And then the theory side of things. Okay? So we've got the EA side of things, you've got to take about external forces, then we've got the theory. Okay? Now, if we were to map some areas on that, we look at EA products as an input, we look at compliance, we look at product realization, right, okay, and then we look at the theory, okay. There's a lot of good theory work out there, you read Michael E. Porter's 5 Forces and competitive strategy, all of that kind of stuff. And I've put some good references here. So you've got Porter's 5 Forces, the value chain, you've got Sun Tzu, the art of war, there's some great stuff there. Then you look at Suns in Clouds by Evans, so there's some stuff there that you can look at, alright? That's the academic side, the pure life side, right? Okay? For me, everything is about realization. That's the key word, okay, realization. So, let's move to the next one. Let's do a primer. Okay? So the previous slide, all that was trying to say was that when you're coming up with a strategy, there's so many things you have to take into account, right? And there is no one right way. The key thing is it's got to be aligned to the organisation and the environment we operate in. Okay? Let's go through a primer. And some of you, this is Anne, you've seen this before, so sorry. This is just some food for thought, okay? Right, enterprise architecture is not enterprise systems architecture. Massive difference. I'll tell you why. Actually, you can tell me. Actually, no. Let's go through these and you can answer them. Enterprise architecture, it's not a methodology. Right? It clearly is not a methodology for building standalone systems. Okay? And this is one of my definitions. Supports how one builds a reusable, unified information systems management capability that supports and meets the organisational needs. Okay? A lot of words there. And the last bit, which is the important bit, it's really, okay, for me, enterprise architecture is really about aligning, recalibrating the technology landscape to the business operating model. And I'm going to highlight that a bit more. Okay? These are words. If we want to debate them, we can do. I'm happy to be challenged. You know, so when I was developing, we developed a piece of software. I do that quite a bit. If you go to the web, you can download my maturity assessment model. It's not worth having a look at. But I spent 6 months discussing business operating models, yeah? How they worked, what they were. Anyway, so that's some food for thought. A little arrow pops up and says our key bit is the strategic bit. Okay. Before we go into this, remember what we're trying to do here, right? We're talking about strategy, how we're going to formulate it, and then we're talking about the EO mindset and how that's going to add value to the strategy. Okay? This is my definition, and there's some context to it. Okay? We can The key thing here is business operating model, right? Okay? And when you talk about business operating model, and we'll get on to it, you've got to look at external forces and everything else that impacts your organisation. Okay? So, we're now going to go through the stack. So, this will become more clearer as once we've gone through the stack. Maybe you can revisit this. Okay? So, I always use control, inform, direct. That's what EA is basically about, CID. Yeah? We control stuff, we control the technology landscape, we inform the programs, we inform the stakeholders, and then we direct through our governance processes. Alright? And here we're going to go through this, alright, we'll come into this in a minute, but the key other variables is the calibration activities, I said, protection, integrity, optimization, maintenance, and efficiency. Right? You can add your own. Right? If you want to use this for your students, add your own. And the alignment activities are aligning everything to the organisation that you're running and operating. Okay? And then also you've got the creation and value, new capabilities, new products, new services, and extensions. Okay? You could probably add more to this. Okay? I did this for someone and I'll reuse it. Feel free to reuse it.
Is that like a matrix then?
No, this will become clearer as we get to the next one. But what I was trying to do here is say there's two opposing forces. One is the alignment and one is the calibration. Yeah? Okay? And what I was trying to show here is I'm trying to transpose some of the variables onto these two opposing forces. And it's really about your line of sight. A good enterprise architect will actually encapsulate all of that. Okay?
But that's looking from the horizontal view, is it?
Yeah, it's just looking
that's opposed to the vertical.
You can look any way you want, it's up to you.
It's only because I'm trying to interpret the diagram.
Oh, right,
you've got the eye looking that way as opposed to looking.
What I was trying to do, I'm trying to transpose the definition and give you some context onto that diagram. Key thing is, if you do reuse it, and I'll probably control, inform, direct. Yeah? Yeah. But we'll take this off, like this is more than a 10-minute conversation.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it, do you see more, is it just alignment to where the business is wanting to go?
Let's go through the stack and then let's come back to that question and I'll tell you why. Because, right, so one of the things I'll talk about later on is technical debt. Right? How do you manage technical debt? I did a book years ago about technical debt. Now, when you're bringing in a new system, you might think, oh yeah, we've got to align it to our business operating model, but you've got to take those factors in. So it's a bit more than just alignment. Yeah.
My question really is, it's not just is business strategy taking the lead, or good EA should be forming that strategy because
Right,
make
okay.
buy models, outsourcing
Hold that
possibilities.
question because there's a really nice diagram. Okay. Right. So we're talking about an EA primer. So before we get into the strategy, right. So this is something I use all the time. This is called stack. Yeah. Okay. And for those of you who haven't seen this before, at the very top layer I've got the business operating model. We break these down. A lot of it is self-explanatory. You go up, you go down. You know, this really, this is really a wrap around everything, value-added services. Okay. I'm going to skip this one because I want to get to the next one. Okay. Right. So basically, each layer of that stack I just showed you. You know, if you look at it, so you've got, hold on. If you look at that, a lot of this is a no-brainer, right? There's nothing here that says, you know what, yeah, you've got business operating model, you've got processes that support it, you need capabilities to support those processes. You then have a set of applications that are rendering those capabilities, and blah, 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 yeah? Okay? So a lot of this is a non-brainer, and you can probably move some of this around depending on your organisation, okay? So a lot of this is a no-brainer. But how does this operate in the real world? Yeah? And what are the tools, because we are talking about how we add value to a strategy, what are the tools we can use? So basically what I've said here, each layer of the stack is complex in its own right. If we take a business operating model, a business architect analysing a business operating model and all the variables, it's not a one-day job. Yeah? Okay? And it is complex. And each layer, below and above, kind of maps to that. And, yeah. So what are the tools that we can use to analyse and visualise this for stakeholders? So, and you mentioned Dragon earlier on, didn't you? Yeah, so Mark, he does some great work in visualising stuff. But the thing is, what's the next level of decomposition, right? You're working as a business architect. What are the things that you have to consider, okay? And these are the kind of things that you would have to consider. So if we I'll take the top and the bottom layer, yeah? Okay? I'll take the top and the bottom. So, how do you analyse your business operating model, right? You can do SWOT analysis on your business, strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, threats. You can look at it from the view of PEST, political, economic, social, technical, and you can look at force by forces. There are tools out there that allow you, to analyse your business. The first thing a good EA does is doesn't try and understand this, because this is a complex piece. Yeah? It goes and reads what the compliances are, what the rules are, and understands the business. Yeah? The business you're operating in. This is about running the business, but the business you're operating in, you need to understand. Right? And that's what the top layer of the stack is. Yeah? And hence I use the word, everything up here is business-centric, here is technology-centric. Okay? And then as we go down, I won't go into these, you'll have the slides and you can read them. I may have missed something, feel free to add it. Alright, feel free to use this. The bottom layer, right, which I call the value-add hygiene services, technology services, you've got your NFRs. Yeah? Okay? Standard thing, security, all the usual kind of stuff. So here I've got disaster recovery, security, governance, compliance, security providers, integrity, availability. And these are the lower level things. So these are the tools at your disposal to understand the stack. Yeah? Okay? Now as you get into the middle layers, it gets a bit more complicated. Yeah? When you start looking at capabilities and services, you then start looking at technical, tactical, operational, business, look at things like innovation, all of that kind of stuff. So, let's get to this as well. So basically what I'm saying is, as an enterprise architect, you're kind of understanding all of this stuff, yeah? You're looking at your outsourced model, your redesigns, manual automated processes, right? It's all there, right? But the key bit that adds value to the ICT strategy is the top bit. Okay? Understanding the business, understanding your cost models. Cost models are so important. Yeah? Okay? And you've got to understand the downstream activity because that is your technology landscape. Yeah?
So Dan, question, where do business decisions come into this? So business may make a decision, we want to make this decision, but business may make a decision not to apply any security protocols to anything. Might be a business decision, so you've got security in there, but where's that reflected?
I'll step back. The key word you're using there is decision.
Yeah.
Okay. What this is trying to do is understand the estate and understand the business you're operating in. Those are kind of drivers for change.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But one of the things, I can't remember, I was talking to someone earlier on, and they were talking about that young lady we were talking to. I had an offline conversation with her. They were talking about they're going to be imposed something, and I said, right, okay. If the business say to you, you cannot do X, Y, and Z, right? So we had a bit of that. Yeah. My advice would be show them the threat profile. Yeah. Show them the potential risks. That everything can be attacked.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the key thing is, if you show them the threat profiles, if you show them the attack measures, you can then turn around and say, right, are you prepared to take that risk? Okay, fine, take it, but document it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the key word there was, you said decision.
Yeah, it's the business.
Yeah.
It's the decision. So you give them information,
Right.
but then.
But the decision is a driver for some kind of change.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. This is really about just understanding what you've got, doing some analysis, turning out cost models. Right. Okay. So that's the stack. You know, and this is a no-brainer. You have your current, you've got your target. Those are the stack. But in between, you've got a load of transitional models. Yeah. Okay. No one ever achieves their target. They're always in a constant state of transition. Okay. Right, so that was the EA bit of stuff. So hopefully that'll give you an appreciation of my version of enterprise architecture. Yeah, it's not about re-architecting the business. It's not about telling the business how they're going to do stuff. It's really about understanding the variables that are going to impact the technology landscape. Okay, you happy with that? Do we need to discuss it, or can we move on? Oh, that was 10 minutes. Perfect. Right, so let's talk about the strategy side of things. Right, so I started looking for definitions. And I had my own definition, and I thought, no, I'm going to go to the web and see what's out there. There is so much out there, right? So I've put in you a definition in there, and I've given you some context, right? But let's go back to this context. What are the ramifications of screwing up? You do an ICT strategy, right? Say your organisation is, okay, let's use Sheffield University, right? You generate an ICT strategy and you say, right, I need £3 million to do X, Y, and Z over a 3-year period. They go and budget for that. They make provisions for that, right? If you've made a mistake because it's going to cost £4 million, you knock yourself out of water. You know, your reputation's gone, you know, the odds of delivering, don't even go down the outsourcing route, that's a waste of money. Okay, so that's some definition, right? Okay, so how do you construct and deliver an ICT strategy? Some of the key factors, right? Okay, so what we're going to cover now is just a description of strategy formulation. How do you actually develop a strategy? Yeah? How do you actually we'll discuss what are the dependencies, and then, as always, risks and mitigations. So, let's talk about an approach. Okay? And I've numbered these for a reason because we're going to cover these. Right? Okay? So you need to understand the current state. Okay? Now, biggest mistake you can make, right? If you're so one of the mistakes you could make is spending too much time doing current state analysis. You're not adding value to your organisation, right? What you are doing is, all right, you may be creating some great artefacts and some great deliverables, but the organisation is not seeing the transformational downstream activities. Yeah. Okay? So current state analysis is good, and I've broken it down into business and operations. When I talk about operations, I'm actually on about the ICT delivery operation, the service delivery and how you render apps and all that kind of stuff. Yeah? And then once you've done that, you formulate, produce. Producing an ICT strategy is not an easy task. Okay? You can produce a lovely document. You've got to socialise it, you know? You've got to review it. So once you've done that, you then do the due diligence. Right? Okay? So, you're right.
Yeah.
So anyway, due diligence is really important. I drifted there, okay? Just so you know, I went in, I did the due diligence, I sat down with the team, I spoke to every single one of them, what they were doing on a day-to-day basis. I looked at their skill sets, I looked at some of their code, I looked at the way they configure their servers, I looked at, and I did a cost model, didn't I? Which basically said we were paying 2 million too much.
Yeah.
Right, that then kicked off another piece of work where we said, right, okay, we're going to charge for the servers. Or then started with
You uncovered things as well through doing that.
Yeah.
You paid for things that weren't there and all that.
So me and Susan were both at the client at the time. Anyway, so due diligence is important because if you don't do it up front, downstream, it's cost your organisation money. Very important. And I did a thing on audits and stuff. If you look at my blog, there's a thing on the kind of things you should do in an audit. Okay. So you've got to make sure that before you actually release it, right, you've got to make sure that the audience are aware of what's coming. Yeah? No one likes surprises. Right? And my last quote is quite a good one, so we'll come to that. But no one likes surprises. So if you're saying, right, we need to, so I did a piece of work for a Japanese company where they were using AS400 and I said, right, we need to refactor the code into Java and I did a costing. But before I actually gave them it, I said to them, oh, it's going to cost you X amount. Right? And then before they even actually document, they were actually getting feelers prices in for actually refactoring all their AS400 code. So that's quite important, the approach. But let's back it down even forward. Let's even go further down. So if we look to 1, 2, 3, the numbers have gone on this. Okay. The current state analysis, this is what we talked about before. Yeah, okay. But what are the things, what are the inputs, right, for your current state analysis? Right, your business strategy. That's really important, right? Okay. You don't run the business, right? You're just I don't like the word service provider, but you are an enabler for certain activities. Okay? Themes, IT capabilities, technology landscape, this is all kind of standard stuff. Understand the finance model, really important. Right? Where's the money being spent? Supplier analysis, maturity assessment. So those are your kind of inputs, right? And there's probably more out there, right? And then, okay. Delete some stuff off this, sorry. You then agree a table of contents. What are you going to put in the business ICT strategy, right? And these are the kind of also things you need to kind of think about, right? Drivers for change, external forces, cost model, future technology, a realisation plan. Really important. And these are kind of things in the background. You've got to constantly think about how you keep the lights on. It's all great saying we're going to move to Amazon Web Services or whatever. How do you keep the lights on? How do you keep doing what you're doing at the moment? And then the innovation funnel. How do you actually, look at new capabilities, new services out there? And the last bit is debt management. Really, really important. Right? Okay. I come from an IBM mainframe background. Yeah. Okay. I love the old green screens. Nothing good. Okay. So technology debt management is really important. Okay? All of that goes into the document at some time, goes through the mill, do your midpoint reviews, you do comprehensive reviews, document updates, and then you get approval. Okay? So that's the further decomposition of what I was referring to previously. Right, so let's even go even further. Right? Okay, so I think this diagram, and I apologise because I had to cut and paste this from the original document, and this is so old, it's very different. But, and you can't see this, right? The corporate plan and the business strategy. So this organisation was a government, European government function, right? So it had loads of stuff related to legislation and all of that kind of stuff that you had to factor in, yeah? It also had its own key themes. It had a plan that had key themes, and both of those you pull in, right? And then you start looking at your internal, external forces, goals, drivers, capabilities, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay. Then you get down to the real nitty-gritty strategy formulation. Okay. For example, if you are telling your business we are moving everything to the cloud, right? And I'm hearing that a lot at the moment. People just don't consider certain factors like latency. You know, if you're pumping it over the web, how are you encrypting it? You know, endpoint security, all that kind of stuff, right? You need to make sure that if you are making a statement that we are going to move all of our stuff to, okay, so government's just got approved by Amazon, not Amazon, or Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft.
Yeah? So Microsoft are now certified to, is it impact level? I can't remember.
3.
They could hold offender
Yeah.
management data,
Yeah.
so they could hold
Yeah.
serious stuff.
Yeah.
Right, if you're
Yeah,
moving to
so-
Microsoft Web Services or whatever, you need to make sure that if you're putting your data there, how your user's going to get the data, costed it, it's secure, all the usual kind of stuff, right? Okay? So anyway, I digress. So we're further decomposing the approach to producing an ICT strategy, okay? This is quite nice, I'll let this in. Right, so how do you weigh this up, right? Do you look at the internal, external operations, right? So here, some of the internal business operations that you should consider when producing your ICT strategy, right, is, okay, how do you orchestrate the processes? Yeah? How are those processes then rendered by various systems? Your hygiene stuff, yeah? Your technology debt, your service delivery, resourcing model, skills, you know, contractors versus perms, you know. Also, your roadmaps, where you are now, reporting numbers, but basically all of that, those are the internal stuff you need to consider. These are the external stuff. So, some of the stuff I've put in is your competitor analysis, right? So, if you work, I'm going to use you as an example, I'm sorry. If you work at Sheffield University, is that Russell Group, is it?
Sheffield Hallam University, we're the ex-Polytechnic.
Right,
University of
okay,
Sheffield,
all right,
so
okay.
there.
So,
They're the grown-ups up the road.
don't start with this. Right, so if we're going to look at, you know, your competitors, you do have competitors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you need to know what they're up to, how they deliver their services. You know, if a student at your university doesn't get the same service, they all talk, you know, they switch courses and you lose another half day.
Especially now the students are paying for it.
Yeah, we
Oh,
have.
don't, I'm not free. Let's not talk about
Well, yeah.
But we have. You mentioned Sheffield Hallam. We have a strategy. This that starts with the statement transforming lives, and then we go down to the pillars and everything that you can see on the ECA. But yeah, it's very busy.
Anyway, so we've been talking about internal, external, and you know, the key thing is customers. Your students are your customers. You know, if they're not getting value for money, you guys go on strike, they should get a refund. Sorry. Okay, so
I can tell you a few stories, but I won't.
I've got 3 names. Right, so on the left side,
It's more good for the parents than the kids, actually.
We've heard that song, you've got 3 now.
anyway, so if we look left to right, we look at the capability structure and technical debt. Goes into what desired outcomes you're trying to achieve. So you said your theme was working for lives.
Transforming lives.
Transforming lives, right. So if you were to take those things, how would you transpose that onto that statement?
Yeah.
You know, and then you've got to prove it. Right? And then on the other side, you look at the goals, what are the drivers, you know, what's actually making the change. Why should you write a strategy? You know, what are the drivers for change? Yeah? Okay. And then, most importantly, your stakeholders. And I kind of gave it a 30-70 mix. Because you don't want to spend too much time doing market analysis and all of that kind of stuff, because your business has already done it. Yeah?
And it's also resources as well. It's one of the things that we found is great ideas have we got the capability or the resources to sort of sustain it? So the internal stuff is very important.
3 weeks this would have taken to really knock out.
Just a quick question. You were
Yeah,
saying
sorry.
on that 30%, the assumption is the business has already done it. Is that a valid assumption in most
No,
businesses?
when you do, no, it's not, because different businesses have different. So, for example, no, I can't mention. But if you no. But what the thing is, it's all about reuse. Yeah, if something's been done, reuse it. And the odds are, if one of the big 4 consultancies has been in, reuse it.
Yeah.
You know, so. I did a piece of work in Brazil. It varies. It depends.
I guess
Everything is industry specific and organisation specific. Yeah.
I guess the point of my question was if there hasn't been any diligence put into that. So if there isn't any reusable assets, so if PwC hasn't been engaged.
Right. Okay. You've got to be careful here. And this is the kind of common thread throughout this. You don't run the business. You deliver IT capabilities and services on behalf of the business. Right. They don't want you. Right, Petra will probably disagree with me later on, so let's bring this up to her later. But they don't want you to tell them how to run their business. You're a service provider, you're a functional provider.
Two technologies in businesses then. Sorry, but yeah, I'm sorry, but it does prove the point that sometimes the ICT strategy is becoming the business strategy.
It's organisation.
You're right. It is organisation.
It does vary enormously. Been in some public sector organisations where they've had consultancy every 5 years, and all the reports in the last 3-4 go say the same thing. And I've been in other organisations that are deliberately astrategic. They don't want a strategy because it's a waste of time, effort, and money, and they'll just make it as they go along and just do it strategically. So they have a long-term plan.
Be careful with third-party consultancies, okay? And we'll discuss this offline, but I'll give you some good examples. Right. Okay, so when we go back to the stack, we referred to it. So when you're doing your ICT strategy, the business don't really care about the bottom stuff. You need to be aware of it in your costings, yeah? But they care about the upper stuff, yeah? If you're going to outsource some stuff, if you're going to do bespoke development, these are kind of things you have to, because there's a cost associated with it, yeah? But all of the lower level stuff, like, they don't need to know what patterns you're going to use to store and forward real-time messages, right? They don't need to know that. But if you're going to go for IBM component message broker, what's it called now? WebSphere what? Huh? Integration broker or something. But if you're going to go for and you're going to write £1 million check to IBM, they need to know about it. It's actually, I'll tell you about a bit of work I did 20 years ago. Okay, so let's look at a table of contents, right? And bear in mind there's no right answer or wrong answer. Yeah? There's no right answer or wrong answer. So I put these table of contents up of you'd further probably decompose this, right? So you'd have an introduction, what's it all about, what you're trying to do, usual stuff. You'd have your target architecture vision, how you're running the business, how you're sharing the business, corporate systems, and channels for operation. Any ICT strategy now that doesn't have the channels, you're going to lose your audience because they want to know how you're going to render to mobile devices, all that kind of stuff. And then the usual stuff, people, process, practices, your sourcing strategy, cloud on-premise or as a service, and then the realisation plan. And I'll keep using the word realisation. We can't get away from that word. It's great having nice diagrams and all of that. How are you going to produce it? How are you going to deliver something? Then the key thing, okay, you've got your realisation, and I always go back to cost. Right? Here's another thing. I want to get on my, measuring success. It's all fine doing an ICT strategy. You've got your KPIs and you drive. How do you measure over the next 3 years that you've been successful? And then also the controls in place. Right? And then some of the kind of byproducts for that are the roadmaps. Right? You've probably all seen these. The 5-year roadmaps. I'll show that again now. But more importantly, your operating model. Okay? So this operating model I did for a managed security service that was being outsourced. Okay? It's neutral, you can't see it, but basically they're outsourcing for tens of millions of pounds. And my first thing was, this is the operating model, this is how we're going to do it, and these are the impacted areas. Okay, so that's one of the deliverables. And then also...
Sorry, can I ask a quick question on the previous slide? Like, you had the principles. I mean, is it like more ICT principles, like you have architecture principles, or the enterprise principles?
No,
bit of
no, not enterprise principles, sorry.
Okay.
That says regulatory and organisational, right? So, for instance, if you're operating in the banking sector, right, Solvency II, it's a big thing, you'd actually say how you're addressing that, yeah? Those type of things. If you're working in, I don't know, pick another industry, you know. If you're working with offenders, how you're going to manage, you know, cradle to grave rehabilitation, all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm trying to cover. It's not your, we've got 10 architectural principles, you know, reuse, separation of concerns, all the usual waffle. It's not that. This is, you've got to remember the target audience for this. The target audience are non-technical business people. Okay, so the next slide, I just thought I'd put this up because we've seen the business canvas quite a bit, and it's a good way of representing stuff. So, you know, Tom Grooves was presenting on this, and he's written some stuff on this. This is good. Use the business canvas. There's new iterations of it coming out, but if you could put that in a single slide, you know, what's your key partnerships, your key activities, resources, channels, right? Revenue streams, cost structure. Now, when you talk about revenue streams, that's if you're charging the business for solution architects or something, yeah? And then, this is what your business process map would look like to start with. I think I've covered most of it, to do with it. I seem to talk a lot about compliance. This was just a map of, you know, this is just, I thought I'd put it out there because it's a good way of saying, right, okay, Gartner do this, you know, we're going to put the bits and bobs. Now there's a really nice bubble diagram, I think McKinsey did it. If you get a chance, look at the McKinsey one, that's a better representation. It's really good because they expand the bubbles to the amount of investment you're going to spend, right? It's definitely McKinsey, okay? Right, some points to note, and we are, you know. It's an art, it's not science, it's not, you know, it's an art. And it's like any art, you know, it's like a bit, it's like enterprise architecture. I believe that's an art, it's a mindset, it's a way of thinking. Yeah? It's got to be a repeatable process. You don't want to do the same thing every year over and over. Yeah? Okay. Everything in life has to have audit and traceability. If you're saying something's costing $6 million, you've got to make sure that you can trace back to that. Okay? I'm a firm believer, right, apart from contractors, I'm a firm believer, if you're going to do a strategy, it should be done by you and not by a big consultancy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like Collins like the Gallagher. And the reason I say that is because only you know your own business. I think you bring in external consultants to kind of help you mould it, yeah, okay? But unless you're a better responsibility and say, well, they told us how to do this. But I'm a firm believer, if you're going to do an ICT strategy, do it yourself. Don't get third parties to do it. Happy to be challenged on that, right? Just a belief I have. Right, so those are points to note. Right, we're going to have a little group exercise now. I'm sorry. But I'm kind of, right, so I started by asking a question, right? How do we build an ICT strategy and how can the EA help mould that. So my first question to you is, do you think I've answered that? That's the first question. And the second question is, I haven't answered it, what have I missed? The third probably point is, okay, if you're happy with everything you heard, what have I missed? Yeah? So and really, I was going to break into three teams. EA is the business, and a business stakeholder, not anything industry specific. And I really wanted to discuss, okay, you're the business stakeholder, you two are the business stakeholders, right? One of the questions, right, so I want you to think about what are you looking for from your IT people, right, in terms of the strategy. That's fine, right? In terms of the strategy, right, what should we be delivering to get the money out of this sucker? Okay, so let's have a group conversation. So I'll kick this off, right?